Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, thank you very much for joining us today. We'd like to seek the blessings of Shri Shri Radha Madhav, Krishna Balaram, Radha Shyam Sundar, Gonita, Shri Prabhupada, Gurudev, and the assembled Vaishnava. So we continue with the Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th Canto, 30th chapter. And this is a slok from this chapter, number 13.
Mahapanabhimatanam Viranam Viptichetasam Krishnamaya Vimurtanam Sangarsaha Sumahan Abud. Translation: the heroes of the Yadu dynasty became intoxicated from the extravagant drinking, began to feel arrogant. When they were thus bewildered by the personal potency of Lord Krishna, a terrible quarrel arose among them.
Okay, so this is the departure of the Yadu dynasty, because Krishna is finishing his pastimes on earth, and he didn't want to leave such a mighty family, which would actually become a burden to the earth. The disappearance of the Yadu dynasty is the name of the chapter, and it discusses the destruction of the Yadu dynasty in conjunction with the winding up of the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So King Parikshit, he said, after Uddhav left, because if you recall at the end of chapter 29, Krishna instructed Uddhav to go to Badrikaksham and meet with Naranarayan Rishi. So Uddhav very sadly left the company of Krishna. And so Parikshit Maharaj is asking now, so after Uddhav left, what did Krishna do in the city of Dwarka? After his own dynasty met destruction from the curse of the Brahmins, how could the best of the others give up his body? So Krishna advised, Sukadeva Goswami said, he replies, after Sri Uddhava left for Badrikaksham, Lord Sri Krishna, taking note of many bad omens, advised the Yadavas in the Sudharma council hall to abandon Dwarka and go to Prabhash on the banks of the Saraswati. The women should bathe at Prabhash. The women, children, or old men should leave this city and go to Sankodara at Prabhash. So that's a different place, right? At Prabhash, we should bathe for purification, fast, fix our minds in meditation, worship the demigods, perform swastika, ayana, and other rituals. These are all in the Vedic scriptures, Vedic rituals for counteracting bad fortune. With the help of greatly fortunate Brahmins, we will worship those Brahmins by offering them cows, land, gold, clothing, elephants, horses, chariots, dwelling places, etc. This is indeed the appropriate process for counteracting our imminent adversity, and it is sure to bring about the highest good fortune. Such worship of the demigods, Brahmins, and the cows can earn the highest birth for all living entities. Interesting how Krishna is promoting the Vedic rituals now. Because so far he has been glorifying Bhakti Yoga. So why is he doing that? Why is he now considering the Vedic rituals? Because actually the Yadavas, they're already doing Bhakti naturally. They're devotees. They're already liberated souls. They didn't need to worry too much about even doing Bhakti, because they're already doing Bhakti. You didn't have to tell them to do Bhakti. They're already hard doing Bhakti. They're always thinking of Krishna. So he wanted to promote the Vedic scriptures, and in that way worship, give respect to the demigods, Brahmins, cows, and show society how one can live by sacrifice, according to the Vedic scriptures. Of course, Bhakti Yoga transcends even doing the Vedic rituals. But in this case, Krishna wanted to promote Vedic rituals. They followed his advice and went to Prabhupada. There, with great devotion, the Yadavs performed the religious ceremonies according to the instructions of Krishna. They also performed various other auspicious rituals. Then their intelligence, covered by providence, they became intoxicated in festivity. So this is the beginning of the end. And by the illusionary power of Lord Krishna, they became intoxicated from drinking the sweet Maireya beverage, which can completely intoxicate the mind. Thus, losing their intelligence, they quarreled amongst themselves and they seized their bows and arrows, swords, bhalas, clubs, lances, and spears, and began fighting one another until not a man was left alive. Thus, bewildered, sons fought with fathers, brothers with brothers, nephews with paternal and maternal uncles, grandsons with grandfathers. It must have been really devastating scenes. Friends fought with friends and well-wishers with well-wishers. In this way, intimate friends and relatives all killed one another, thus completely bewildered by Lord Mukunda himself. This is really bewildering in itself anyway, for us. But this is how Krishna wanted the Yadus to leave this world. Showing that, I suppose, that even within spiritual circles, one cannot become too attached to others and except for those who are like the gurus, the spiritual master, the devotees, pure devotees of the Lord, and the Lord himself, of course. This is really quite intense, I have to say. This is really intense. How he leaves, how he gets the Yadus to leave this world. Very difficult to comprehend, but that's his plan. And he wanted to fulfill the curse of Gandhari, who had said, your family will also perish in the same way mine has. So he wanted to honor her curse. So he fulfilled that, and at the same time reduced the burden on earth. In their confused state, the Yadavs also mistook Balaram for an enemy. So this is really shows how the Lord's illusory energy is so powerful. Even the pure devotees, the Yadavs, get bewildered by it. They mistook Balaram for an enemy. Weapons in hand, they ran towards him with the intention of killing him. Krishna and Balaram then became very angry. Picking up cane stalks, they moved about within the battle and began to kill with these clubs. The violent anger of these warriors, who were overcome by the Brahman's curse and bewildered by Lord Krishna's illusory potency, now led them to their annihilation, just as a fire that starts in the bamboo grove destroys the entire forest. A little fire starts with two humble bamboos rubbed together, can destroy the whole forest. So the little curse from the Brahman destroyed the whole Yadu dynasty. Of course, the Lord had his plan. When all the members of his own dynasty were thus destroyed, Lord Krishna thought to himself that at last the burden of the earth has been removed. So he wasn't unhappy. This is the point. He wanted this to happen. Normally, when your family dies, you become sad, but he wasn't unhappy. Lord Balaram then sat on the shore of the ocean and fixed himself in meditation upon the Supreme Personality of God. He is supreme, but he fixed himself in meditation upon Krishna, who is the original Supreme Personality of God. Merging himself within himself, He gave up the mortal world. Lord Krishna, the son of Devaki, having seen the departure of Lord Ram, sat down silently on the ground under a nearby pipala tree. And the Lord, he was exhibiting. So his form, this is now this description in the 30th chapter is of what he looked like. It's not the two-handed form with the flute. His form looked like this. His brilliantly effulgent four-armed form was present, the radiance of which, just like a smokeless fire, dissipates the darkness in all directions. His complexion was the color of a dark blue cloud. His effulgence was the color of molten gold. All auspicious form, his old auspicious form bore the mark of Srivatsa. Beautiful smile graced his lotus face. Locks of dark blue, interesting, blue hair adorned his head. His lotus eyes were very attractive. His shark-shaped earrings glittered. He wore a pair of silken garments, an ornamental belt, the sacred thread, bracelets, arm ornaments, along with the helmet and the Kastuba jewel, necklaces, anklets, and other royal emblems. Encircling his body were flower garlands and his personal weapons in their embodied form. So these personal weapons were there actually not as Shank, Gada, but they were there as personalities. As we saw before, when we looked at the Golok Adam in the spiritual world, his weapons are there and in their personal embodied forms, in spiritual forms, the original forms. As he sat, he held his left foot with his lotus red soul, with its lotus red soul, upon his right thigh. So that's a description of what it looked like. It must have been amazing. Just then a hunter named Jara, who had approached the place, mistook the Lord's foot for a deer's face. Thinking he had found his prey, Jara pierced the foot with his arrow, which he had fashioned from the remaining iron fragment of Samba's club. If you recall, Samba's club was they were making fun of the Brahmins. And Samba showed, he put something under his clothing to show he was pregnant. They were asking this Brahmins, what sort of child are they going to, are they going to expect? Brahmins got angry by this foolish behavior of the young Yadavs. They were cursed. And that Samba gave birth to this club, iron club, which destroyed the Yadav dynasty. That's what the Brahmins said. You will give birth to something that will destroy your whole family. Then, seeing that the four-armed Lord, that form, the hunter became terrified and he fell down. Right, because he had shot the Lord, but then he realized, oh, this is actually the Lord. It's not a deer. He placed his head upon the feet of the enemy of the demons, begging for forgiveness and asking to be punished for committing such an offense. Jara stated, neither Brahma nor his sons headed by Rudra, nor any of the great sages who are masters of Vedic mantras can understand the function of your mystic power. Because of your illusory potency has covered their sight, they remain ignorant of how your mystic power works. Therefore, what am I, such a low-born person? What can I possibly say? In reply, Lord Krishna told the hunter that what he had done was actually according to his own desire. The Lord then sent the hunter in an aeroplane to Vaikuntha. So there's a pastime as to why Jara was the one to instigate the Lord's departure to the world. I can't remember what it was now. Anybody remember the pastime of Jara? What happened? Anybody remember that?
It's Bali Maharaj. Ribol?
Ah, yeah, well done. Who's that? Ram Dulara.
Yes,
So go
Prabhuji.
on, explain.
Ram, when Ram and Hanuman they were in the forest. So Hanuman, Bali and his I think his brother was fighting, and Hanuman asked Ram to shoot the arrow. So he went behind a tree, and then he killed Bali Maharaj, Sugriv brother. This is the Katha, I think.
That's correct. Yes, well done. Thank you. Yes, you reminded me. Well done.
No,
Wonderful.
you know it.
No, I didn't actually. I'd forgotten it. It was in the back of my mind, but thank you for expressing that. And it's nice to hear you. You should speak more, Prabhu, huh? Feel free. Please feel free.
Okay. Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
When Daruka, Krishna's charioteer, arrived on the scene and saw Lord Krishna in that condition, he began to lament. Daruk said, just as on a moonless night, people are merged in darkness and cannot find their way now, I have lost sight of your lotus feet, my Lord. I have lost my vision and I'm wandering blindly in darkness. I cannot tell my direction, nor can I find any peace. So this is Daruka, and Krishna then instructs him. While the chariot driver was still speaking, before his very eyes, the Lord's chariot rose up into the sky along with its horses and its flag, which is marked with the emblem of Garud. All the divine weapons of Vishnu rose up and followed the chariot. The Lord then spoke to the chariot driver, Daruk, who was most astonished to see this. Oh, driver, go to Dwarka and tell our family members how their loved ones destroyed one another. Also tell them of the disappearance of Lord Shankarshan, Balaram, and of my present condition. You and your relatives should not remain in Dwarka, the capital of the Yadus, because once I have abandoned that city, it will be inundated by the ocean. You all take your own families together with my parents, and under Arjun's protection, go to Indraprasth. You, Daruk, should be firmly situated in devotion to me, remaining fixed in spiritual knowledge and unattached to material considerations. Understanding these pastimes to be a display of my illusory potency, you should remain peaceful. Thus ordered, Daruk circumambulated the Lord and offered obeisances to him again and again. He placed Lord Krishna's lotus feet upon his head, and then with a sad heart, he went back to the city. So this is the end of chapter 30. Quite a bewildering chapter. So, any questions, any comments? Okay, we can stop there. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.